So the first class in the series, if we were doing it in a series, but you all know that you can join at any time, is really more of an introduction into the idea of eating less processed foods, of learning how to take care of yourself, of learning things that you can incorporate in your lifestyle. So in the first class, we start introducing some of the concepts that I want to go over as well tonight. Now, one of the main things that we talk about is glycemic index. And it's not about being real complicated and learning how to do complexing. Glycemic index, you could write a whole book on it because people have taken it to extremes like anything else. But let's just keep it very simple. I want you to eat foods that have a lower glycemic index, ideally 55 or below. If you do that, you're forced to eat foods that are better for you. You're forced to eat vegetables, proteins, things that are going to be more accepted by your body. If you go above 55, you start getting into the processed foods. And as you get higher and higher with those numbers, you've gotten into things that probably have no relationship to their origin at all. So if I can get you to keep that glycemic index low, you're suddenly forced to eat better. 55 or below tends to keep you, again, in the more natural foods. And that's another rule that we talk about. We do make rules here. So if you eat foods closer to their origin, then you're going to be eating healthier foods as well. So if you eat a food that doesn't look like anything in nature, it probably has been messed with by man, and it's lost, Twinkies. I hear it in the back there. You're eating things that your body doesn't know what to do with. If you've been to our class about sugar, remember we talk about AGEs, advanced glycation end products. Sugar changes the body structurally and functionally. So if your body doesn't function well, and if it's structurally changed, you're going to have disease. That's where we find a lot of disease coming from. That's the major theory of aging, is the fact that people eat sugar, it becomes a glycation end product, and I've now changed my body for the worse. So if you stay in that lower glycemic index, you're going to eat sugars that are more naturally occurring. The body knows what to do with them. There's no alarm stage, there's no problem in the body, and you're going to have a better time of it. Now, another concept that we talk about is that muscle dictates metabolism. If you don't exercise, what happens to muscle? You lose it. It's never static. It's either being built up or it's being broken down. In fact, your muscles are a storehouse for protein. And if I need protein, my body can go to my muscles to get it. What happens if I don't eat properly? I end up sacrificing my muscle. I eat myself. So remember, most of you have promised to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? If you haven't, you need to take the oath. But I want you to eat on a regular basis because otherwise you're going to be cannibalistic. You're going to eat yourself. And when you do that, you're in trouble. That's what the whole yo-yo dieting thing is about. People think, well, I just won't eat those meals. I'll go on a diet. I'll start fasting. If I'm not eating anything, it's less calories in, I'll lose weight, right? It's true. It happens. The scale goes down. But if you look at the proportions of how much lean tissue you have to how much fat you have, you're actually proportionally fatter. Because you burned up as much or more lean tissue as you did fat. So even though the scale's less, you're suddenly a fatter person. Anorexic people, they have very little muscle tissue, low bone mass. They don't have much active metabolic tissue. They are not very healthy. The scale looks good. They think they're in good shape, but they really aren't capable of doing anything, and their body doesn't operate in a very healthy state. So we have to look at living a lifestyle that's more conducive to health instead of what most Americans live. If I have you eat low glycemic foods, I've forced you to eat better foods. And what that means is you're not going to cause damage. You're not going to take toxins in. You're not going to eat the processed food. You're going to foods closer to their origin. You're not going to have the whole setup for what's called metabolic syndrome. You're not going to have the insulin response because of the high sugar content. So you've suddenly taken yourself to a lifestyle that will make you healthier as opposed to make you less healthy. And you still can lose weight. I want you to lose weight and be healthy at the end of this. I don't want you to lose weight and just have the scale look better. Because that's not always the answer. In fact, it's never the answer. So again, diets don't work because, first of all, they usually cause you to be sicker when you're done. You've probably all done a diet, or you know somebody. We've all done diets. I mean, let's be honest. So you've probably notice that the people that are finishing with a diet look a little bit sickly. Their faces are drawn. A lot of times they look like a stick with a ball in the middle because they couldn't get rid of the gut. They just have lost all that structural fat, all the visceral fat. They've lost that voluptuous shape, but they think that they're healthier because the scale looks better. A lot of times we just want people to throw that scale away. We monitor it here, but it's not what you really want to look at. You want to look at how your clothes are fitting, how you look physically. The other thing about a diet is eventually you have to get off the diet. This isn't about a diet here with the exception of the fact that we're using the HCG. This is about making a lifestyle change. I want you to take things that we talk about here in class and do them for the rest of your life. Not perfectly. Everybody can cheat a little bit. But I want you to be able to cheat without causing yourself to go down. If you eat a pizza and you're sick for 2 days, something's wrong. You're right on the edge. In fact, that's another concept that we talk about, right? Everybody remember organ reserve? Nobody remembers it. Okay. Some of you are new. Organ reserve is really the concept that you can abuse yourself. Now, I say that kind of kiddingly, but if you have organ reserve, you could eat a pizza. You could eat something that's not so good for you. You could be exposed to something and not create any symptoms. But if you have no organ reserve, then you're in trouble. You're right at that threshold. When you were young, most kids have a huge organ reserve. They can eat dirt, they can roll on the ground, they can fall down the stairs, they just get up and keep going. And you wonder how they did that. Well, they've got a huge organ reserve. Not only did it not affect them that much, but they repair very quickly, and it's water off the back. No big deal. But you fall down and eat dirt, and what happens? You might have to go to the hospital. And it's the fact that you have no reserve left. So what we're doing is building that reserve. It's a concept that I really like to use because if I'm healthier, I can do a lot of things and not be affected by them. I can walk out in a cedar grove and not be put in the ground because my nose is running and my head hurts. You know, I can go into a house and be exposed to something. Not that I want you to be exposed to bad things, but if you find that a small amount of stress, physical, mental, whatever, causes you to have symptoms, your reserve's gone. If you have organ reserve, you've got that level of health that small things don't take you down.
So how do you regain that? Again,
by doing what we're talking about in class. You want to eat better, you want to exercise, you want to watch your exposure to things, you want to take care of yourself. If you take care of yourself and you create health, you've got a reserve. But if you find that you're right on the threshold and symptoms just remain under the surface, you've got to do something. Remember the symptom checklist that you did the first day? I always refer back to that. That sheet should be clean. If you checked any of those boxes on the checklist, then you've got a problem. And it needs to be corrected. There's a reason for every symptom on there. And if we look, we can find it. If you correct everything, then that symptom checklist is empty. There shouldn't be regular headaches, sinus problems, fatigue. All the things on that checklist are related to a dysfunction. And we want your body functioning again. And that's where your reserve comes from. But if you're always eating a diet that's pushing you further out of balance, and you're not actively exercising, and you're not taking care